Yeah, yeah, for a year. Also, too, right now, we'll have a sign up sheet back here. If you want to, you don't have to. If you want, all it is so I can give things away for free. So the raffle, make you pick your name out of the pack. I got a bunch of Copwatch t-shirts and hoodies and cell phone cases. And you can, well, no, you can, live people watching around the world, and we're on video it. Yeah. No, we got this whole your department. You do what you want.
Attention, brothers and sisters. Take a look around. We are killing the future.
That's tomorrow. Always tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, we don't do that. Go, buddy. Picking up your live stream. That's cool. Huh? Yeah. You guys set up channel with more people playing.
I used to drive all over town for low prices, but now I let Walmart's incredible new savings catcher do the work for me. I just enter my Walmart receipt online and savings catcher does the rest. It compares the prices I paid for items at Walmart, advertised prices for other top stores in the area, and see if I can find a lower advertised price. Walmart uses a different on an e-gift card. Now that's my homework.
Introducing Savings Catcher from Walmart. Go to walmart.com/savingsketcher for details. Eligible items only. Restrictions apply.
That side. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys still coming to pick up the cotton traffic.
Right.
LA.
I've got to tell you about
Is it hard rock or is it kind of more middle? Okay. All right. I am. I was going to do it just right now. I think Wiley's going to be. I think I'm going to have the feedback guy. Wiley in the watchdog. Oh yeah, I think. Oh, I'm trying to figure out that Adrian said that he had other things. Well, Roy, I'll put Roy first. Okay, I'll put Peanut. Roy's one. I'm gonna hold off until he's thinking before the person's coming. He's only like 10 minutes. Well, that was an hour. Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, I mean, if you get a chance to watch it live, I mean, you can live update it. Awesome. It's good. All right. Well, I'm playing music on my phone. My computer's not working that well, so my phone has to be by Jordan Page. All right, thank you. Oh, I got it right here. I've been looking at you. It's right here. I ain't.
If you want anything copied, then probably do it for that. I'm not sure if you think I can do it.
Wall should be standing. What do we back down? Critical moment.
Yeah, we're like.
Like a running waves of the ocean.
Sorry.
With the time approaching, the sand slips away from the castle. It's time to stand upright. Why do we falter like peace in our freedom? Sacrificial altar, we all tied to our knees and defend our oppressors as we fight for their lives and become the transgressors. So pacifists transform to violent aggressors. Start to feel greedy too. Wonder and the pain and the dead of this nation. Be slaves to the banks that cause liberation. We were masters of commerce, lies and manipulation. If you looked in the eyes of
Well, I have like you like and we're gonna be
This sign up fee here is for the raffle. I'm giving them stuff away. Okay. I'm not sure going to this far away. I just want Yes, yes, we do. Yes, we do. We're getting 5% off. We're they have to pay 90
That's what we got to do, you know. We're not going to have $100 million for the other guys. I'm working a lot of money. We're doing
Oh, awesome. Well, now this is live stream. It's on the internet. Everybody can watch this all around the world. Yeah, I'm just chatting with my, yeah. Oh, they are down there? Man. Like I said, I put this swagger on the website and everything. It's right here. If you want to know where the live list is, it's on Twitter, and it's on. You go to first annual Know Your Rights Summit. Know Your Rights Summit. Yeah. So there's our table. The link is right there on Facebook.
I'll let Danielle know.
Okay. Yeah, my buddy Alex is doing the technology. Hey guys, I thank y'all for coming out today. I just everybody to just imagine this great thing that what a one little idea could do. You know, it all started asking somebody to come down here and basically start South Florida in their Liberty tours to having our own event here in Ocala. This is the first annual Know Your Rights Summit. We have a couple speakers that are going to come up and speak on different things. I'll first bring up Nathan with South Florida Copwatch. He, he's been doing a lot of things down in trying to decentralize our efforts of keeping the police accountable and stuff. So I just wanted to let everybody know who he was. But our first speaker is Mr. Charlie. He's with Photography is Not a Crime. He's going to tell us a little about different rights and stuff we can do to protect ourselves up here.
Well, my name is Charlie Griffin, and I am a academically trained as legal and political theorist and scientist. But I've also been a citizen. I take the concept of citizenship, meaning taking control of your role in a government seriously. And I have joined up recently with Carlos Miller and Jeff Gray with Photography is Not a Crime, which, as the name indicates, focuses on the right to record. And it doesn't mean just recording police, but any public official, all public officials. Every time a public official acts as a public official in that capacity, they are acting on behalf of the public, and therefore the public, especially in Florida, where we have that position defined and the rights of the citizens to know what those people are doing, defined in the Constitution. Everything they do is a public act. Now you will know that there are people who are being arrested and charged. I have been myself charged and accused of wiretapping under Florida Statute 934, which is known as the statute for unlawful interception of communications. And I took that to court after being banished from the city of Alachua for 9 months while I was going to see House of Representatives. I didn't know you could be banished from the city, but I was actually living there 2 weeks later. But I took it to court, forced it in a 10-day speeding trial, got a retired judge, as a result, the toughest judge in the county, therefore the most honest good judge. And it took 3 minutes for him to dismiss the case on his face. Let me just tell you, I had 3 motions to dismiss. I got through the first paragraph of the first of 16 parts of the first of the 3 motions. The judge said, Mr. Grabsky, would you allow the prosecutor to address that? I said, certainly. The prosecutor got up there and said, Your Honor, Mr. Clovis Watson, who some of you is were state representative now, by the way, in the seat that I was running for at the time, when I discovered he was killing the election in Alachua, and then I'm talking about more things he's doing. But Mr. Watson, the public official, has a greater right to privacy than Mr. Grabsky, the private citizen. Without pause, the judge sort of turned, casually looked at me, says, he had no right to privacy, frankly, let me just explain. That statute does not say two-party consent. He also does not say that there must be knowledge and consent of both parties. It says that it is illegal to intercept, and as many of you know what football, if you throw the ball and your receiver catches it, that's a catch, a reception, not an interception. You're the intended receiver of the communication is not interception by definition. If you step in and intercept it, it is interception and it can be illegal. But it depends on two things. There has to be a right to privacy, and the individual in that context has to have a reasonable expectation to that right. As a public official doing public business in a public uniform or in a public setting or in a public building, they have no such privacy rights. So you have a right to record audio or video every time. Doesn't mean that you're not going to sometimes face those that don't want to accept the law. Now, so that's a quick sort of summary of that part. But I joined the argument of trying to add a second dimension to it, and that's called the open government dimension. And these are very important laws that are overlooked, underused, abused by officials if they don't like it, because they're citizen empowering laws. These are the open meetings and very particularly the public records law. You have a right to know. A constitutional right in Florida with a statute, chapter 119, to back it up. If there is not an explicit legislated by statute exemption for a particular record, it is public and you have a right to get it if you ask for it. And so I began adding the Open Records Project, which I began in the late 90s, early 2000s, after a number of years working with public records in Florida in particular, to try and both educate the public about these laws, to inform the public about them, and to get people actively using them. You know, you can go to photography.com and you can go to other places. You can find my Facebook page or websites, and you can learn about some of these things. You don't have time to go into it, but if anybody does want to know more, please let me know. I do want to add, since I only have a little bit of time, one other topic, and then I'll take some questions before I continue, if there are a few. I know some of you here deal with the notion of common law. And it's very important to understand what that really means. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there. First of all, if you heard the story about flags with fringe on them, just a flag. Flags have no authority. No court is subject to the dictate of a flag. That's for the fringe. You've heard the term common law. I'll explain what common law means. There are three senses of common law that are applicable in the United States. Common law refers to a system of law that emerged in England beginning in the 12th century after the Norman Conquest. It referred to the kings trying to make one law common to all England. Before that, it was just local customary law. It evolved from there, from being king-made law, basically, to judge-made law. The kings transferred the authority to do the day-to-day judicial work to judges who initially ran around on circuit and heard cases. And what judge-made law means basically is case law. And so common law evolved in contrast to the second most dominant form of law, the legal system in the world today. Beginning also around that same time in the Middle Ages, but taking the rediscovery of Roman law, they discovered what's known as the Corpus Juris Civilis that was created in the 500s AD as a compilation of all the laws going back to the Republic by the Emperor Justinian. And they rediscovered that in the 11th century and began studying it. And it became the basis for what most continental European legal systems, civil law, are based on. And it became even more dominant when Napoleon had the empire and imposed it on And civil law is not judgment law. It's not about precedent. It's not about you go and you argue your case in an adversarial process. You give a lot more power to judges. Judges are inquisitors. And so it's a completely different sense of the law. So that's what common law is generally. Within a common law system, common law is a reference to distinguish itself from two other sets of laws that are also part of the law in that domain. And that's statute law, legislative law, which really rose to prominence in the recent history of America, where we legislate thousands of laws a year. And it's gotten to the point of absurdity. And it creates bad law, but it's still law under the system. So common law refers to the case laws of judicial decisions, which don't refer to cases when you go to court and have your trial, but if you appeal, and those appellate judges rule it. And it also refers to another historical set of laws that existed in England up until the 19th century, really. And it existed here, but has really been lost a long time ago, but it actually absorbed it, and that's called equity. And what it was is that there was a system of equity courts and a system of common law courts. And common law courts, of course, are supposed to aim at justice, but because they use statute and precedent that are supposed to be general, your one particular case may not fit the general law. And so the injustice may occur if the law is strictly followed. And so what happened was, in England, as the common law emerged, separate courts of equity appeared under what is known as the Chancellor's jurisdiction. That's too much detail. And equity courts were supposed to look at those errors that led to injustice and provide an equitable resolution. And we've lost that. It's actually been absorbed into the same system of courts. And if you ever go to bankruptcy court, that's a vestige of an equity type court proceeding in the court system. But that's what common law means in general. So I've laid out some real general ideas, general statements. Again, anybody, we can give them my email address on my Facebook page. I do have to go to another place, so I can't be around that long, but I'll stay a little bit. I'll take some questions from the floor, and then I'll stay if anybody wants to talk to us for a little bit. I don't have to go.
Earlier in what you were saying, you mentioned exemptions to public records. What are some of the exemptions that you can give examples of?
Yeah, in fact, it's very easy to find them. They're in one particular section of Chapter 119. I think it's 119.7. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's 0.7 is the exemptions for. But, for example, a police officer's phone and address. That's an exempt record. So if you get a public record, which you can get, the police officer's personnel file, they have to give it to you. But before they give it to you, they can go and they can redact just that information. There are other, in fact, the problem is that the legislature is enacting exemption after exemption every year, and until we, the people, begin objecting to that, they're going to whittle away our rights to these public records. But does that give you a sort of?
That's one example of it. I'm just curious, like if they're having any kind of a meeting, is there anything that they would be discussing in any of those meetings that would allow them to keep that meeting private, or are all of those things open? Like, what are the things that will close the door on us?
Very good question, because that's not Chapter 119 of Public Record Law. That's 126, I believe, the Open Meetings Law. And pretty much, if more than two public officials who get to decide on an issue meet, that meeting must be open to the public, including it must be notified to the public that it's going to exist, you have the right to be there, and that you can, at least at minimal, observe. I mean, the law actually says that you have a right to participate. And in some, this is why you have public comment at city council. But the participation is not really welcomed by most of these bodies, and you don't find it always either. But there are a few exemptions for example, the judiciary. The judiciary is not subjected to the open meetings law. So, the judge goes into chambers, you don't have a right to follow necessarily. You might. There are cases where you do. There are instances, but if, you don't have a right to, for example, a better example, when the Supreme Court goes to deliberate on the case, you don't get a right to be in that meeting. But if two members of your city commission meet together and talk about something that is or will be before them, or may be before them as an issue to legislate on, that has to be an open meeting. You have to be notified and given the opportunity to examine it.
Thank you very much.
You record a public official or police officer, you have to advise on the fact?
No, they do not have to give, they don't have to have knowledge, nor do they have to give consent. They are a public official doing public business. Everything they do is presumed to be public. They can record it. More power to you, because these things are recorded and known. Doesn't mean they're not going to object. Doesn't mean they're not going to tell you you can. Doesn't mean they may not arrest you. But they're wrong.
That's just important. Very safe.
Every state's going to be different. But in most cases, most states allow you to record public officials. In as long as in your active recording you're not interfering, and I mean really interfering, not what they say. Sorry, you have to be 3,000 meters away, otherwise you're interfering. No, that's not valid.
What about the free speech that they have down at the Republican National Convention?
Oh yeah, I remember my first encounter with one of those. I was at the Democratic National Convention in Boston in 2004, and I went through that free speech zone, or walked by it first. But when I went in as I wasn't a delegate, so that I had passes. My passes actually gave me more privileges than the delegates. And then I walked in and I had no idea, but the top shelf wine and crab legs and all that was disgusting. I mean, this is really disgusting. A revelation to see this. But when I walked by, there was this giant thing with plastic all over it, and then white noise and music. So you couldn't hear the people in the free speech zone exercising their free speech. So a couple of days later, I went into the free speech zone, looked up, and the elevated train was above me with snipers with assault rifles looking down at us. So it's not very, very free speech. The problem with that is those tend to be the federal government implementing those. And they're not subjected to these same laws. Which is a federal agency. And so you have problems with that. And those free speech zones are anything but free speech. They're curtailing free speech, and people need to object reciprocally to that very constantly.
Reporting a public official and arrested how the court uses the rule.
Depends on the judge, depends on the court. We don't have the brightest judges around in Florida often, and many of them don't really respect the law. And they view authority as the authority. And so you can have a difficult time. It's a risk. I mean, I've been convicted of things I didn't do because I demanded a trial. And I spent 2 days in the court for standing up for myself.
There was one of punch you raised your hand.
So, but, okay.
My question was, ruling that audio and video was
Yes, audio and video. Anything they say or do is a public act. Now, if they go to the bathroom, you can't follow them into the bathroom and videotape them in the urine. Because they're stepping out of their status qua public official or public servant, and they're acting in their private capacity. When they return out, that's a different matter. And of course, you can't go into their home. But when they're acting in their status as public official, that's when you have the right to do it. Hold on, I'll get to you next.
I understand that, like, we all what do you do in that moment when you are encountering a police officer and watching them and say you don't have that? I know plenty of stories of people to have had their phones or cameras taken from them. And also, when you're arrested, they take your phone from you. You don't really know if it was so I just want to know if anybody legal repercussions for that, or
Theoretically, yes, there are. How to respond at that moment is going to be up to you and what you want to risk in terms of standing up for your rights. But what I would suggest is to say, officer, you're simply wrong. And if the officer persists, can you please contact your supervisor and ask your supervisor as well. And that officer is probably not going to follow through on that. He's probably going to do all sorts of things. You can continue to record, which is right. You can pretend you stop recording and continue to record. You can have two things, one in your pocket recording the audio after you turn off your video like this. You can comply and turn it off and then later bring a lawsuit challenge saying that that was illegal. If, of course, if you are arrested, they will take your recorder and put it into evidence. If they tamper with it, that is a crime. Will you be able to get the crime prosecuted? Not highly likely, but you can pursue that. Right?
no. Actually, because I actually posted the video exactly what you are supposed to do. And I have a card. I don't have a card. Sorry, I don't have a card. And he didn't happen to know that I was videotaping. That's the only reason that he was discussed the way that he was. You understand? So, what was your original question about reporting blue top channel? Exactly. And in the middle of my video, I told them the law. So you have to have reasonable expectations of privacy. Being a public official, you have to do this. Being a public official, you have no expectation of privacy because you're a public official. And he shut me down. But the camera that I was wearing, it looked like I did not knowing that I could press video on it. So I said, okay, say what you want to say. You know what I'm saying?
That's why it's important to try and get as much support as you can.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
they violate the law.
No, this is not the first thing. Oh, it's not exactly what.
Well, we have a limited amount of time. That's why I want to get as many other questions. But this is what you.
Well, I didn't see any other hand raised, so I.
There's several. Hold on. But just what you did when you recorded this live, and you had a right to do it. Now, again, when you're sitting with a cop with a gun and hyped up with this feeling of authority and superiority, you can be in a great.
No, there is no.
You could be in a real jeopardy of harm to your life. You have to weigh that yourself personally. Me, I stand my ground and I leave it on. If he forcefully shuts it off, that's a different matter. I'm not going to comply. If I do comply, it's going to be because I have another recording device that he doesn't know about, and I want him to then say what he's going to say when he thinks he's not supposed to. But again, each person has to take and evaluate the risk for themselves and based upon certain way. But do it. All your life. Yes. You mean like any council meeting? No. They'll ask you to give your name. They don't usually ask you where you got. But they'll ask you to give your name more because for the record to know who's saying what. But if you choose not, you don't have to. And you still are allowed to. Yes. I've been thrown out and arrested at public meetings, basically threatened to be tased for not cooperating. The statute is that you have the right to be there, and they don't have the right to throw you out on that basis. But they do, and they get away with it, which is why it's so important to get these things fingertipped and get the evidence out there for the public. Because when the public becomes informed enough about the problem and educated enough about the laws, both that are and ought to be, then we have the power to change it and to have them enforced as they ought to be. But until we stand up as a citizenry, united, despite our differences of viewpoints, party affiliation, or ideology, or religion, and see that common cause, this problem is going to get worse and worse over time.
The Supreme Court just passed a law. You guys not familiar with that? Where they said that the police cannot stop getting involved.
Yeah, well, the police have to, they have to have a warrant before they can search on your phone.
Yes, right.
Before they can get information from your phone, which is a search.
Right. Has anyone ever sued and won against,
Yes. Yes, I have, in fact.
did you get any money?
$199,000.
Yes. Congratulations, sir.
And other people have too. That's why I wasn't informed, because they didn't want me to pursue those things. I mean, literally, I was beaten into unconsciousness, tortured. I was left in a pool of vomit from 5 a.m. to midnight while my renal system shut down. And if I didn't get to the hospital, North Florida Regional, within 5 minutes of my getting there, I would have. So, and there's video of a lot of that out there. Almost everything I've done has been videotaped. And what you can hear in the initial torture, you can hear me screaming for my life. Barely audible because mucous membranes were swollen, fluids were coming down, I couldn't breathe, and I'm saying, I can't breathe like the man in New York City some weeks ago. I thought I was going to die that day. That was almost a week before I wound up in the hospital. Well, I can't stand now. No need to think. It's just what I do. Let me know when you want to move on, but I'm questions.
I know, man. It's so great discussion. Everybody's having a great time and everything.
You want me to take 2 more questions?
I don't disagree with you telling us, 25 minutes of the life that this law that says if you're 90 miles or 100 miles from the border, you don't have to enforce it in your life. That's all it's for.
I don't think the law says you don't have enforcement rights, but in effect, your rights are being violated. And what you're referring to is that the federal government has extended the Border Patrol's authority to anywhere within 100 miles of the border. Of course, Florida, every place is within 100 miles of the border, and therefore they can stop you and question you. But the law doesn't allow them to question you extensively. They're supposed to say, are you a citizen of the United States? Now, this is offensive enough. I'm 100 miles away from the border. It shouldn't happen. But if you say, yes, I am, they're supposed to say, okay, on your way. They're not supposed to say, get out of your car, show me your license, get down on the ground, put your hands in the air. You know, not supposed to do any of that. Not all of them. How does it play out with Well, it's the same thing. If you're calling a public official and they're engaging in their public capacity, the same, if they're going to charge you with a fine, that's 934 statute, which is unlawful interception of oral communication, which says the person had an expectation of privacy that was reasonable based upon a right to privacy. If you don't have a right to privacy or an expectation of reasonable, there's no law broke. With telephone, you fall under the same thing. Yep. Now, if you're dealing with a private person, the law is different. Because they may, not always, but they may have a reasonable expectation of privacy. I was having a conversation with a okay. Don't consent. When you go to the videos about the arrest series in Alaska, you'll hear the city manager, now state representative Swanson, say, "Oh, Mr. Jeffs, I see you're recording me. I have no problem with that." Which is knowledge and consent as far as I knew. And he says, "But by the way, you have to get my consent." And I said, "No, I don't." And then 3 days later, while I'm inspecting the ballot records, implicated him in felony offenses and tampering with the election, he, as a police officer, with another problem, he's impersonating a police officer who fraud the pension fund of $1.5 million, and he was the arresting officer and the victim. Let me just have one question, and I'll let the next.
much you use your IDs
Well, you should, if you're walking down the sidewalk and a police officer comes to you and asks you to see your ID, you really ought not to. If they have any reasonable basis to ask, I mean, you can say, am I being detained? And, here's my, if you have it, here's my license. And that should be the end of it.
But you need it's reasonable suspicion.
If they have
Okay.
reasonable, reasonable suspicion,
And if you have committed a crime or may be about to engage in a crime, they have reasonable suspicion.
and so if you don't, and they can't produce reasonable suspicion at court, the case is going to be thrown out. Doesn't mean you're not going to spend a day in jail. That's the problem. These people, I'm not going to talk. Okay, that's
but
email me.
20 years ago, I was told by a man, the only rights I have are those that I'm willing to defend and enforce.
You're absolutely correct.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Well, thank you everybody for being here.
Well, that was great. That was good information there. And next person we have is Mr. Roy Sherman. Okay, yeah, we're going to skip Mr. Roy. Mr. Wiley, you want to come on? Sure.
That's a hard act to follow there. But, you know, nothing happens in the back. And the reason that we're all here today, the reason that we're all involved in this activity, holding our elected officials and our public servants accountable, is because power has been abused. Specifically in law enforcement, I think there's a percentage of law enforcement officers, I believe it's a fairly small percentage, that have totally just ignored their own laws. They've forgotten what they originally signed up for, and that is to protect and serve the public. And there's a whole lot of reasons for that, and I want to get into a couple of them that I find particularly egregious. You know, over the years, I've seen it in my lifetime, I'm sure you've seen it through your lifetimes, law enforcement has changed. It's not anything like it used to be. And law enforcement officers have changed, and they're not anything like they used to be. Law enforcement has become completely militarized, for lack of a better term. A lot of that is because pushes from the federal government through programs like Irregular Warfare Support Program, which is a Department of Defense funded program where they outfit and train local law enforcement agencies in how to conduct essentially guerrilla warfare, counter guerrilla warfare against us. I don't find much need of that. Is OPD involved taking any Department of Defense money for the Irregular Warfare Support Program?
I'm not certain.
Okay.
I'm not as familiar with it.
Well, that's the point. You know, we've got the federal government right now equipping and training our local law enforcement officers, equipping and training our local sheriff's deputies, and literally turning them into a military. And that's the real problem. Now, I served in the Army and the Florida National Guard, and I can tell you there's a completely different mindset when it comes to law enforcement and when it comes to military. Military, and we have a joke in the infantry that our job is to kill people with break guns. Law enforcement is to protect and serve, and to take that a step deeper, it is to protect and serve the life, liberty, and property, and the inalienable rights of the people of the community. Two vastly different jobs. Yet, with the the coalescence of these two forces, with the militarization of local law enforcement, I believe the mindset is starting to change. And I do still believe it's a small percentage of law enforcement officers that have totally abandoned their oath of office. But I also believe that there is a good number of law enforcement, I know many dear friends of law enforcement, who are just silent. And that is probably the biggest problem right there. It's not the bad guys in law enforcement. It's the silent ones. It's the guys who, see one bad cop on the force that's beating that guy down for no reason, or shooting that, tail wagging, floppy-tongued dog in the head for no good reason, or beating up on some kids for no good reason. They're not doing anything. And that's a problem. One of the things that I hope that through organizations like this, that we're out there not only holding the bad guys accountable, the bad law enforcement officers accountable, but to the good law enforcement officers, the ones who truly want to uphold their oath of office, the ones who truly want to protect and serve. We're giving them an opportunity to do the right thing. Now, I didn't want to really come here to get but I think it's important to talk about how I view accountability in government. And one of the first things, in fact, on day one of the things I will do with elected is I will put a webcam in my office. And any meeting that I hold with any legislator, any special interest group, any lobbyist, is going to be streamed live over the internet. Because I am a public servant to the elected government. So I think it's a great idea that we pass legislation here in Florida that all law enforcement officers wear lapel pins. This is a protection for the people of Florida and a protection for law enforcement. And it's also perhaps that one thing that the good silent law enforcement agents out there, it may be that one thing that makes them say, you know what, today's the day I'm going to take a stand against that one guy who's causing all the problems. That one guy who I should have stood up 2 years ago, who I should have turned over to internal affairs, who I never should have covered, who I should have stopped him from violating those people's rights. Maybe that's going to be the edge. Maybe that's what's going to reverse the trend of our local law enforcement driving through our streets in, armored vehicles, MRAPs, and Bearcats. Maybe that's going to reverse the trend of doors being kicked in with automatic rifles, no-knock raids. Maybe that's the start of a return to law enforcement protecting and serving our life, liberty, and property, and defending our alien rights. That's why I want to commend all of you. What you are doing is a great thing. And I also can commend Ocala PD for coming out here today, because this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to come together and show this is not an adversarial thing. All of us here want the same thing. All of us want to live in America that is, what we believe it would be. All of us want to uphold and defend the Constitution, protect our own rights, protect each other's rights. This gives us an opportunity to come together and find ways to do that. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone who is out there, holding law enforcement accountable. I want to say thank you to all law enforcement agencies who defend who uphold their oath and defend the Constitution and stand up when they see injustices. And I want to also say thank you for having me here today, and I would be happy to answer any questions that anybody has. Thank you very much.
What's your view on nullification?
I am a strong proponent of nullification of the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Sure. One of the key components of my economic platform is completely revolved around nullification, and that is called the Florida Interstate Commerce Act. And what that says is that any commerce that occurs exclusively within the state of Florida, any business that occurs within the state of Florida, is immune from any federal regulation whatsoever. Let's put this into real-world practice. Let's say the federal government says all semi-automatic weapons are outlawed. Well, here in the state of Florida, if we were to pass that act, we could say, well, fine, federal government, you can have that law. However, we have these manufacturers here in Florida that are manufacturing semi-automatic weapons, and they're only selling them in Florida. Therefore, under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, under the Commerce Clause, you have no authority. We could say the same thing about healthcare. You could say, well, you can pass any healthcare laws on federal level that you want. And here in Florida, we have Florida insurance companies, we have Florida hospitals, they're serving Floridians, and your laws don't apply. So I believe in nullifying any federal laws that are unconstitutional across the board. Right. 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 Well, there's a whole lot of aluminum in Russia too. Here's the thing. There's a lot of places to get raw materials, and if we're just bringing in raw materials, we can set up a supply chain. And quite frankly, I don't think we're going to do that. Now, you have to keep in mind, Kansas has already done this requirements. And I'll tell you what happened when Kansas did their Interstate Commerce Act for firearms. It is exactly what I was talking about. Eric Holder, Attorney General, sent them a very strongly worded letter. And Kansas said, hey, Attorney General, go pound sand. And you know what? They didn't hear back again. They're doing it. That's what we have to do. You have to understand that, and you made the point, actually. You only have the rights that you fight for. I believe that wholeheartedly. Florida needs to stand up for their rights. Individuals need to stand up for their rights. I believe in peaceful civil disobedience. I disobey unconstitutional laws. I don't have a driver's license for that reason. I won't be driving out of here today, but I will be passing through. But the reason that is because I believe under the Real ID Act, which is the one where you have to submit all the additional documentation, and also the one when you go to renew your driver's license, they don't take a photograph. They're now taking a biometric digital facial image capture that is scanned into a Department of Homeland Security database. So that is clearly a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and I refuse to comply. And really, I think that's the kind of thing that we all need to do. Now, if you're going to disobey the law, there are certain things you need to do. First, you need to absolutely know the law. Second, you have to be peaceful about it. You have to be, in that mindset that I know exactly what I'm doing this for a reason. And third, you have to be willing to accept the consequences. Because there are consequences. I've spent 1 day in jail so far, and before it's all over, I'll probably spend another day or two, I'm sure. Maybe even a couple months if things go wrong. But the point is that on a state level, development nation, on an individual level, we only have the rights that we stand up for. Other questions? Yes. Well, let me give you my phone. Well, I'll deliver it again as we go. Very important. It's very important to do some people that know the Constitution, right? Instead of throwing out. Another thing you said you gave up voluntarily to leave the watch. Correct. In 2001. I'm sure by now you realize the amendment says you have the right to travel off road without a license. Well, business operator, not traveling. No, I'm very familiar with the case law on that. There's Thompson versus Smith. There's Chicago Motor Coach versus City of Chicago. There is actually an array of case law on that. Having said that, this particular fight, I'm only fighting the real life. You gotta eat the elephant one bite at a time. But yeah, so that's and you said you had a second question? But the elephant. I've heard that. I was telling the top. Tell me I should represent myself. Right. I was saying, and he said, I said, well, I've seen all these stones, vendors just and trying to 30 just pleading out, doing nothing. I think I can do everything. And he said, well, that's like the elephant. You see one end of the elephant, but you don't see Well, if I could make a recommendation, understanding the law is easier than understanding the procedure. I would recommend an attorney. In your case, I've seen your video. I know it happened. In your case, I would recommend an attorney. But I would recommend an attorney who believes in the cause. If you get an attorney that is, especially if you find a constitutional attorney, someone who has a reputation in that regard, that's who you want to work with. Because a lot of bad things can happen procedurally. No matter how many times you dot the I's and cross the T's, a procedural snag can get you and it can destroy your whole case. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend folks out on that one. I would actually contact any law contact all basically, I believe he was just basically ambulance. Yes, it was. His main thing was $3,500 up front. But it was interesting. In civil case that I worked, I said, well, that's probably all he did. I said, if you want to do the civil case, you do government pro bono. Yeah, but keep talking about it. Keep shopping about that. You're going to want it. Other questions? Yes.
Hey, I'm really concerned about why I'm not hearing anything at all about the legislative decision 1997, the Prince decision. Have you been waiting on that?
Yes, oh yeah, Sheriff Max. Right.
Sheriff Max case. Yeah. Well, you know, it seems like nobody is paying attention to it because we have, I've talked to my lawyer in my representative office, I've written to several people, and nobody seems to know or be paying attention to that because the people always lose that the feds can't pass a law and then force the state to have to pass an enforcement order. We've got a main problem now with this police with all these additional people coming up on orders.
Right.
And it seems to me, I mean, I've had to interact with people that they're being put
right.
I don't know when they're going to
that is happening in Pasco County right now.
They're in a pop cup.
They're in a pop cup.
They're in a pop cup.
You
got them plotted.
Somebody needs to be surprised and the local sheriff to say, we can't do it here because we're not going to pay for it.
Let me just say, without giving too much information today, I have spoken to several local sheriffs. We have some good guys out there. We have some guys that don't get it at all. And we have, kind of like I was talking about before, we have a lot of sheriffs that are on the fence and kind of just keeping their heads down and being silent. One of the first elected governors, one of the first things I'm going to do is have a sit down, probably open call meeting of the Florida Sheriff's Association, get all 67 of them in a room and say, here's how we're going to handle it. Remind them that they are the highest constitutional authority within their given town. Remind them that it is their duty to defend the rights, the constitutional rights of the people that they serve against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that means the state government, the federal government. If they, either of those are overstepping their constitutional bounds, it is the county sheriff that is the one to, lay down the final rule.
And remind them that they are elected.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have a few good sheriffs. We've got some really, really corrupt sheriffs too. But unfortunately, there's not much as governor I can do about that except maybe launch an FDR investigation if they're actually breaking the law. Short of that, some people have got to get out on this. I haven't spoken with the sheriff. Yeah, probably so. From what I've heard, and I haven't met a person, but from what I've heard, that would be my guess. He's got to, go for it. So, all right, let me get right here, and I'll come back.
Yes, sir. When you were talking about the lapel cameras, I'd like to actually see that taken one step further and have those live streamed to a private company, so those videos don't mysteriously get lost.
That's actually a good point. Yeah.
I'd like to see the same thing with dash cams.
The technology is really easy.
Right. I'd like to see the same thing with dash cams.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine that wouldn't be too hard to do, and actually that's a very good point. Because mics have been turned off, cameras have been turned off at critical junctures. excuse me, and that's happening with dash cams as well. So, very good point. So we'll talk about that again when we're in that legislation. Here's another question.
I believe that, the police department and the officers have laws put in place to protect them from the people. But the people have not one law to protect them from the police.
Well, the people have a constitution.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's on the side of the road.
Well, and that's the thing. And that's why these groups are important. That's what I'm talking about. That's why the street level accountability is important. Until we transition back, and quite frankly, I believe that we should be rejecting all this federal interference in the local law enforcement, all this federal funding, the biometric identity management, Department of Defense, the Justice Department. They're throwing millions of dollars at these police forces, the sheriff's departments, on certain types of training, all under the guise of terror.
That's because they are preparing for war. And the sooner we wake up to the militarization, paramilitarization of our police forces, and the types of equipment that they are contracting out of the government, the sooner we will understand that they are preparing for a large-scale regional conflict with America, because they plan to disarm us. We need to make that recognition. They're planning to disarm us.
Well, I'm not going to try to go with a crystal ball and determine what the plan is, but I can say this, that there are absolutely steps being taken that would lead one to reasonably conclude that the federal government is working with law enforcement to consider the American people as an enemy. We were talking earlier about the National Defense Authorization Act. There you have, and if you haven't seen that, I'm talking about the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, specifically sections 1021, 1022. And that act actually passed. It says that basically anyone can be held indefinitely in military custody, U.S. citizen or otherwise, or all they have to do is be considered a belligerent. So they are, by definition, quite frankly, I'm sure there are several people in this room, myself probably included, that are on some type of government list or another. That is so. And really, all we're doing here today is defending our inalienable rights. We're doing it completely peacefully.
Our forefathers left us a mechanism. Our forefathers left us a mechanism to ensure our self-actualization. They gave us those God-given rights. And the Constitution has been suspended by a bunch of political criminals that are taking international money to put down this constitutional republic. The sooner you wake up to it, the sooner you will be prepared.
It sounds so ominous. But yeah, it's absolutely true. The Second Amendment is not about money. The Second Amendment is not about targets.
It's to throw off a government that is no longer by the people or for the people. We are decades past it, ladies and gentlemen. We are decades past it.
Well, that's where I would disagree. I think we've still got time to solve it peacefully.
It's been going on for decades.
Let me tell you, carrying a sign against guns is not going to work.
Right.
Well,
I still have a lot of hope, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing
if we can stop election fraud. The hope is alive.
Yeah.
If we can stop election fraud, vote libertarian.
Right.
on ball.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. certain of that.
Right.
So, I actually worked with the same citizens.
Right.
Up and down.
Right.
But why isn't the state doing what the law demands, which is training the army?
Well, we may very well.
Civilian population, or citizen population of this state. Citizen of that part of the state.
Let me explain that. First of all, the National Guard has been federalized. One of the first things I'm going to try to do as governor is to recall all National Guard, Florida National Guard units deployed anywhere else, redeploying to Florida. We're going to actually test the DIC Act. I think that was 1903, actually. But we're going to actually test that legally. We're going to try to restore Florida sovereignty over the Florida National Guard. That may not work. That may not work. Having said that, though, we've got another mechanism. Article 10, Section 1 of the state constitution says something very interesting. And this is actually something we can keep in our back pocket if we ever do have a problem with the federal government and restricting our gun rights. Article 10, Section 1 says that every able-bodied Floridian is a member of the state militia. Everyone in this room is a member of the state militia. So if the federal government or the Supreme Court, for example, wants to have a ruling that a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of the free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, if they want to interpret that to mean that the right to keep and bear arms only applies to the militia, well, guess what? Everybody in the state of Florida is a member of the militia. So, and that's by our state constitution, and that was done intentionally. So we have a couple of different options here. I do believe that the state does need a state militia. I would like to see it be the National Guard. I would like to see the sovereignty of the National Guard returned to the state, and still being held in reserve for if the United States declares war, the President of the United States, under a declaration of war, the President of the United States can call it the militia without, yes, in request.
Exactly the way it was done.
And that's the way it was designed.
It was exactly the way it was done in the Second American Revolution or Civil War.
So I'll take one more question then. And yeah, it's Christy, right? Kate, oh, dang it, I blew that.
I've read that health insurance is being for protection go up quite a bit.
Yes.
Next year. If you were elected governor, what would you do about that price to hospital?
Well, we have to. Oh, there's a lot we can do. We have to understand with healthcare. You have to go to the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem, why we can't afford healthcare today, is government intervention. We have to reverse that trend. If you look at the history of it, prior to 1965, and I look around the room, there's probably a couple of people here that might remember that. Prior to 1965, there was absolutely no government involvement in healthcare whatsoever. Yeah, and what did we have? We had the best doctors, best hospitals, you name it, it was great. The average American could afford to go to the doctor. The average American could afford a hospital stay.
The average doctor could afford to come to you as your condition.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody had insurance because nobody needed it. It was like, why do I need that? I can, go to the doctor, pay the doctor, go to the hospital. I have to make a couple of payments, but nobody's going to pay for it. Then we had Johnson's Great Society. Government started to get involved in healthcare. Let's say, the prices got to the point where nobody could afford to pay their healthcare directly. Everybody had to have insurance. Fast forward 20 years, now we've gotten to a point where not only can we not afford the healthcare itself, we can't afford the insurance premiums to pay for the healthcare that we can't afford. What is government solution? Well, then we need more government. Obviously, that's a problem. We need to reverse that. Now, again, under the concept of nullification, we don't have to implement federal laws that are unconstitutional. Article 1, Section 8 does not give Congress the authority to mandate to you that you have to buy health insurance. We can ignore it. We can get rid of it. Under my Florida State Commerce Act, we will have actual insurance companies that operate within the state of Florida, charge market rates. We will go back to the practice of if the doctor wants to charge a more competitive rate, they can. They'll reintroduce competition. Right now, a doctor, you can go to a doctor, you can have a family friend that
been a family friend for 30 years, they're a doctor, and you want to go to them and they want to cut you a deal, they want to take care of you, they want to give you free service, they can't by law. They can't charge you any less than they would charge Medicaid or Medicare or under some other government mandated program. Charity hospitals are gone for that reason. We used to have Mercy hospitals, Baptist hospitals, Catholic hospitals, charity hospitals. They would care for anyone regardless of ability to pay. Now, where have they gone? They're gone because they can't not charge people under federal law. They can't give them a discount. So the secret is nullify it on the state level. Let's get back to competition. You'll see the prices drop dramatically, and the doctors will be happy about it. They hate the insurance process. I talked to a lot of doctors. They would love to see this gone. They would love to be able to charge their patients market rate, and they would love to be able to have their own little rules where say, hey, look, here's the deal. I'll be your family doctor. I'll take care of everything other than, an operation, and you pay me $50 a month. Come in whenever you have full family has anything. There's doctors who want to do that. They can't have it all. So those are the kind of things that we need to get back to. More free market solutions. Libertarians look at things and say, we have a problem. We should try to solve this problem with more freedom instead of more government. Unfortunately, Republicans, Democrats, they always go more government first. So, but anyway, I think that's all I have time for. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Watch the real change. That's the man's gonna do it right there.
So we're going. I don't know if everybody got to sign the little raffle thing that came in. There's one that's going around. We'll have some things to get away with that. So we're going. I got some names here in the hat. I got basically a Irish Force officer. It says badges don't grant extra rights.
That's right.
So. Doug?
That'll be a good one to wear in your veins, Doug.
All right, the next person we got coming up here is I'm going to have Mr. Roy Sherman come out. A couple months ago, he was in an incident where he was trying to help out his autistic son on the side of the road that was pulled over. And he was just basically trying to explain to the cop that his son was autistic. And at the end of the whole thing, he was tased and arrested for interference and assaulting the police officer. So you watch all the, there's a lot of video online, dash cam video. His son, he didn't even know this. His son videotaped it and didn't even know about it until he after got out of jail. So that was pretty crazy. But understand that he got 3 short clips because he was afraid that he would be arrested and treated like his dad did because he was filming the police. And I commend that kid for standing up and not not caring about going to jail either. So he's gonna come up. He's gonna get inside of what happened. The sheriff's department got so many phone calls over this incident that they put out a promo video, and their promo video they put out doesn't even match their own police report. So it's kind of crazy. But here you go.
As a matter of fact, it was kind of funny, but I went to get the arrest report. I was standing there, and I had given the lady my ID, my driver's license, with my picture on it and everything. She picked up the phone and she hollered back. She says, "Are you still taking those calls on that video that's on the TV or on the camera or on the Copwatch?" She didn't even know it was me. It was kind of funny, ironic that I was pulled in there and I got a call. It was a call to them. But he said it was over 3,000 calls on that video.
And over 4 million views.
Right, as he said, the video has never been edited. My son is 22. He was here, but unfortunately, I thought he was going to stay, but all he was interested was eating. So I met him and he left. But he's 6'5", a gentle giant, and about 325
pounds, so he's a big kid, and every time he goes out in his car, I am scared to death that he will be pulled over and they will think he's drunk or something, because autistic people, sometimes they act in ways that you just don't expect. He's not lying, but they will do this sometimes or get nervous, and sometimes they'll be misunderstood for being drunk or high or something. And if you've seen all the videos, you can, by listening to him being at the original traffic stop before I got there, you can hear his voice and the way he questions the cop. He's different. You can hear his voice. But anyway, I wish God was the speaker, Mr. Watt. Yes, fabulous speaker. I think it'd be good to go out and vote for him. I may have to register for the vote. I've not voted since George Wallace. George Wallace lost against Carter. I swear I never voted again.
Make sure you register libertarian.
Anyway, I had to write this down because I sat, originally when I posted the video, I talked to James and he said, put together a little spiel about what happened and you know, on the video. So I came home, I was real tired, and I'm one of these typers, so I had my wife sit there, and she was tired. She worked in the post office, and so I hadn't seen the video, and it was so dramatic. I hadn't seen the video in about 2 weeks. It took me, it was a week or 2 weeks after it happened that I found out my son had the video, and it was another 2 weeks probably before I could actually sit down. It was so dramatic. But anyway, on May 18, 2014, I received a phone call from my 22-year-old son. My 22-year-old son. He stated he was stopped by the Marion County Sheriff. Would I please come to the road that runs adjacent to my home? I immediately put on my shoes and got in my truck. I slowly pulled up to the traffic stop. I had no idea what was going on. I became aware later that my son had been stopped for doing around 45 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. This road is actually a long country road. It's not a residential road, and the law states that all residential roads, the speed is 30. I have no idea why this road is 30 miles an hour, but they continuously. I even got it. This is very ironic. I even got a speeding ticket about 2 weeks before this happened on the same road. We're doing 45 and 30. But anyway, yes, like Walter. So I put on my shoes and got in my truck. I slowly pulled up to the traffic stop. I had no idea what was going on. I later became aware that my son had been stopped for 45 and 30. This road is a long country road. The officer, Frank Porcelli, immediately turned and said, "Can I help you?" So he actually initiated the conversation with me. I don't know, thinking back, if I had intended to converse with him or just observe, but he initiated the conversation. Can I help you? Can I help you? He initiated the conversation. I was not intending to get involved at all. I just wanted to observe. I stated I'm his father. He then immediately ordered me to leave the area. I didn't understand. He didn't want me to leave the road, the neighborhood, Silver Springs, Florida. I didn't understand what he wanted. So going on and afraid my son could be abused or assaulted, I just wanted to stay and observe. I said, he's autistic. Could I speak to you? I was not calling or silent. And this seemed to make him mad. He came over and said, "You're under arrest." Almost immediately, that's what he did. It all decided I'm under arrest. I was pulling he came over, was pulling my arm, trying to get me. My door was shut, trying to get out of my vehicle. I knew I was safe as long as I was in my vehicle. Personally, I consider the vehicle part of the castle law that says that you're safe in your home and your property and your papers and whatnot. But anyway, I didn't want to get out of my truck. So I knew as soon as I got out, I was open for abuse. As I was looking at him, I believe he had his hand on my arm trying to get me out of the truck, but I was not going out of that truck. He had his hand on his gun, and if you listen to these audios, I say, shoot me, Bob, shoot me. That's because this guy over this stupid little incident had his hand on his gun, and I knew he was thinking about shooting me. It just made me angry. I said, shoot me in the head, I don't care. It's not that I wanted suicide by cop, I just wanted him to realize he's got his hand on his gun. Right. But anyway, I seen he had his hand on his gun. I thought this was important. I think you might want to tell him my son is autistic. I thought this was important. He's a big guy, 22 years old, 6'5", over 300 pounds, nonviolent. But being autistic, you never know how he will act. Under stress, he will slur his words and way back and forth. So by then, the other officer came, which I must say, I'm going to say this on record. I wish the other officer Sapp, would have been the one that stopped my son. He was very polite and controlled. And after I watched the video, I heard him say, man, I didn't want y'all to fight. He was a very nice guy. So thank you all for that. He came around to my passenger door, opened it, and proceeded to push me out of my truck. As I came out of my truck, Officer Porcelli grabbed me by my left arm. He was digging into my arm. My arm was bleeding when I got to the hospital. To the jail. He was digging into my arm with his fingernails. I must have inadvertently or knocked his hand down because he immediately stepped back, pulled his taser, and tased me. And if you've never been tased, this is quite an experience that you never want to have. But I fell to the ground, and originally I said I went to my stomach. I've seen the video, I went to my back. They immediately pounced on me, put my hands behind my back, cuffed me, and for no apparent reason that you can see on the video, he's saying, don't resist, don't resist. And I'm breathing in pain. I'm not resisting or doing anything. And that's a code. I understand this is fans from the Ocala Police Department. This is a nationwide code that the police and sheriff use when they're on audio and you don't know they're on video to make it sound like you're just fight like the son of a bitch. Don't resist. Stop resisting. You can see on there, he didn't know he was being filmed. He was standing back. I was breathing in pain. I was not resisting. But I was laying on my stomach. They were both on me. Thank God I could breathe. But Sally stopped this taser because the taser will shoot once with the prongs out and then it's over. But they can put it point blank to you and fire it as many times as you want. He put it in my lower spine, against my spine, and shot 4 times. Just for meanness. And I want to do something about it. I do go to court, and basically that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of this. We sat on the side of the road and put it in the barn, taking it up. But I am going back to court for the 4th pre-trial. I've never heard this in my life. Usually you're one pre-trial, you're set for, but I did file a motion for dismissal, so he has to give me a motions trial. But every time he tells me he's going to have a motions trial, it ends up being a pre-trial where he tries to convince me to pay the fine, give up, or get a lawyer or something to this effect. Which I am adamant. I don't really feel I need a lawyer. I think I'm pretty smart enough and I've learned enough. There's a lot on the videos that people laugh about YouTube, but let me tell you, there's some people out there teaching some good stuff legally. And I've watched, like I said earlier, with the elephant in the room, I'm watching the public defenders and the lawyers come in, charging 4 people that got stopped for smoking pot, thousands of dollars, and they treat them away and put them, they flee them away and they get all the time. I've seen 2 of them. I've seen 2 people with lawyers go to jail for 6 months. Well, I think I can do that too. So, I think I can do better is what I'm saying. I don't want to see those elephants in the room. I'm going to be the elephant. But anyway, my next pre-trial is September the 11th, which is a very bad day in the Illuminati and the powers that be. They do a lot of weird stuff on September 11th. So anybody that wants to come, please show up. It's Judge Thompson, 9 a.m. Unfortunately, my name is Sherman. I'm always last in line for everything, and it's going to be 3 o'clock before I get there. But if anybody wants to come, and all you got to do is do this to me, I'll know you from this group. I'd appreciate it. I don't want anybody hollering and carrying signs. Just there to know that there's people doing it.
I need a lawyer to file a lawsuit.
Well, I will definitely do a legal civil lawsuit, but my idea here is if I can win or get this case dismissed, I want to get it dismissed. If I can get it dismissed, then I'm on the road to the civil trial. I don't want to put the cart before the horse because you can lose one case and win another case. But
2 things. First of all, you have to have the charges out because you don't have a case.
right.
I found them to be but also, what are your charges?
That is a funny thing too, because this is where I do need an attorney to talk to. Initially, I was charged with when my wife went to the bail bondsman. They had me charged with 1 count of resisting arrest without violence and
1 count of resisting arrest without violence, and 1 count of assaulting a student officer without violence.
Without violence. How do you do that? How do you do that?
So now if you look at it now, they changed from they had 2 resisting arrest charges, and they changed it from 2 resisting arrest to 1 obstructing. And so, because before you said that you were arrested for obstructing, but they never charged you for that. They had to kind of cover their rear on why they even charged.
To me, it seems like fraud, because how can you be arrested for 1 charge and then 2 months later they can change the charge to something that fits their program obstructing? I was not obstructing. I mean, yeah, I could have walked away, but I wasn't going to do that. I'm just not that kind of person. But any more questions?
Well, I don't understand why so much you need a lawyer to do video evidence and that.
That's what I'm saying. All I can say is maybe legal procedure. To tell you the truth, I'd love to have a good paralegal to help. Because when you're filing motions and stuff, other times every T is not crossed and every I is not dotted, they throw it out.
There is a process by which you can do that. If you represent yourself pro se, what you can do is you can request the judge allow you standby counsel. And what that means is basically someone's going to sit next to you. They can't speak on your behalf, but they can advise you. And if you get into trouble, you can tap out and say, this person's representing me from this point forward. So if you request that, the attorney will have to file a notice to appear with the judge and act as standby counsel. So perhaps that's a good way to go.
Like I said, I'm keeping my fingers crossed between now and September 11th. Maybe a real lawyer will contact me. I have nothing against trying to pay a lawyer, but I'm not going to pay somebody to stand and try to get me compensated. I'm sorry, I have to do that. Any more questions?
we just, you know,
Didn't know that this because my son has only been here a year and I'm still kind of got him off the medicine. I'm on by it and he's doing so much better. He's been on medication, high medication, goes back and things for schizophrenia that he's not. And the doctors reported on children and I'm dead set against inoculations and all these things that they're showing on kids. That's where our kids come from. My son was not born that way. He was a good health. That was the first thing I said. When I drove up, he turned around and dictated. And I said, yes, I got it. It's all over that. No, when I actually, when I went to court, I tried to get it continuous because I was not able to get discovery because I didn't know if the case was going to go forward or because I had filed a motion to dismiss, but he never looked at my evidence. So at that point, I didn't file for discovery. So,
from my understanding, there's still one case that you have not been able to get a hold of.
well, one or two because I didn't get what I wanted. The judge heard it was amazing because I've never heard of this happening. It was almost 12 o'clock lunchtime, and I said, I need to continue, so I didn't know if I was going to be discovered. I hadn't time to file. He stopped and turned it. He just stopped. It's okay in some ways, but he turned to the state attorney and said, at one point, can you get him the stuff? And he said, yes, sir, I can. But I went downstairs and they handed the discovery, which is a little not like this. But they handed me a DVD and CD. I thought, well, great, everything's on here, all the video, all the audio. And I got home, all of it was on video. So I didn't know until he had told me that there's video of the whole, basically of the whole thing. But it still doesn't show the environment. But there's more shown than what we had originally. But I've seen enough where I don't need it. Since this started happening with James, I realized I really need to look at these audios and listen and watch. Like I said, just listen and watch. Every time you do, you see something different, hear something different. So, like I said, if anybody has anything that might help us legally or just contact James on the website, you'll get all of them. I mean, I don't want to give out my phone number. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate Roy, having the bravery to stand up and tell the story and take a stand against South and in this county. This county's been through probably been through a lot more than I have knowledge of, but I know at least in the last year there's been a lot of cases. December 2013, correctional officers at Marion County Jail found some dudes head in the wall and split his head open. Nothing ever came of it. December of last year, so right before the New Year came. But then you have you had a deputy shooting an unarmed man on the side of the road in Summerfield. Two deputies that are trained police officers got to do a 150-pound 18-year-old. So also two, you have in this county you have Jason Smallis that was arrested for videotaping the police that he was on private property that was owned by family members. They arrested him for obstructing. All charges got dropped. He was supposed to be here to speak on that, but work held him in Orlando. But he's in the middle of a civil case with that too now. So it's just, when I first got part of Florida Cops, or when I first got part of Copwatch.org, I was like, man, I'm just going to share these videos I see and give my opinion on what I thought. And I was like, man, this would never happen in my county. I mean, every time I got pulled over in my neighborhood, it's like somebody went to high school. And oh, man, your tail lights out, better get it fixed. All right, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's always been, especially in Oklahoma and Summerfield area, and then all of a sudden, people just, you get a little I get out there and start standing up. You know, since we shared this video, I've had these 7 people contact me with videos that I didn't know what to do. I mean, I didn't know my rights. Everything you help. I try to help the best I can. I mean, we're a nonprofit. We're not registered by the state nonprofit, but everything's funded by the people that put the groundwork in, you know. And but another thing that we're kind of doing with Florida Copwatch is we're kind of joined up with Legal Shield. I don't know if anybody's aware of what Legal Shield is. Basically, it's like insurance. You pay $20 a month, and you have a lawyer on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for any legal question. And when they first told me about it, I was like, you know, legal shield. I mean, I don't need a lawyer. I mean, I would paycheck to paycheck. I think $20 for a legal or $20 for food on the table for my kids, you know. But I found out that I probably spent way over $20 worth of legal just every day calling and asking questions. Hey, is this legal? Can they really do this? Hey, can they do this? You know, what's my stand here? Can you come bail me out? You know, so there's a lot of things that's good. And $20 to have a lawyer on call. Not even just have a lawyer. It's really powerful. You know, cops start running their mouth to you, and you can't videotape. You go, well, I'll just get my lawyer on the phone. You want to play games? You know what I'm saying? And it empowers you. So there is flyers on that table about Legal Shield. Sign up for it, get a hold of it. Also, too, we're gonna. It's nationwide. Legal Shield. Legal Shield is nationwide. Anywhere you are in the nation, they'll help you out. They're a phone call away. So we're gonna give away some more stuff. I don't know if anybody wants to give away more stuff, but we're gonna give it. All right. I better write down fun, not bored. Pat, Cranewell. You got a badge that says shiny badges don't grant extra rights, and your badge number is 337. Where was 5? You a weapons permit. All right, we're gonna do something. Do one more thing away, and then we'll have last two. Now, Jack Towers. That's the bill. Oh, you don't get the price. Well, Tom Will. You have the iPhone. You're playing? Well, you've got a nobody knows what he says. Who owns it? And on the back it says that playing that. Who has an iPhone? You have an iPhone? Where goes the iPhone? All right. Our next speaker is some people here local. They're part of an organization called Watchdogs of Marion County. It's a group page on Facebook. They're also part of AVATE. And they're going to come up and speak about what their program's about and what their organization's about. This is Miss Bridget and Mr. Russell.
Good afternoon, everybody. Russell Bridget Page. I'm the creator of Watchdogs of Marion County Facebook page. There is, if you want there, say anything you want. There's disclaimers on there. You can create it. So you can report stuff going on in Marion County. If you feel where our rights are being violated or things that you see or you witness. And the disclaimer is so you can exercise your freedom of speech on that. This is the way that I create a page so we can all Correct. Okay. We're also with ABAY, local chapter, the sports chapter of Eden, Florida Incorporated. We are a nationwide motorcycle rights organization. We approach our legislators before they enact laws. We're on the side of it that if a legislator, by ignorance or by that they just want to, what they think is their moral view, come down and create legislation on bikers' rights, then we are there to educate them about the freedoms that we have, sharing the same laws on the roadway as any motorist does. So we also babysit our legislators that promise us things and maybe don't deliver, or turn against bikers' rights. We're also very strong in protecting gun rights. Most of our members of almost 7,000 in the state of Florida alone protect gun rights, veterans' rights, anything constitutionally that our forefathers were based on their constitutional rights. So I'll turn it over to Russ, and he can go into a little more detail about what we do.
So first, I want to thank Dave, who's out there, for having us speak. It's kind of a surprise to us, but it's worth it. First off, I appreciate you all being here. That says a lot. It says you're passionate, you really care about your rights and the Constitution. You probably heard it said a number of times, and it's been quoted by many people. People get no better government than they deserve. Okay? Like Mr. Grasky said, that he really cares, and he's active. So it's upon all of us to be active. We're active just being here, to a certain degree. Without trying to embarrass anybody, just show of hands, if you would, how many people here are actually registered to vote? Okay. Yeah, see, there's a lot of power with that. The vote doesn't mean a lot. Doesn't mean a lot. Even though sometimes you like to go to the polls and everything, you always might vote power. But it's a voice. By saying you're a registered voter, you can tell, hey, I care enough about what's going on. Just that part of it. So there's so much more that you can do, and protecting your own rights is really important. Important to yourself, important to your family, important to the community. I really like what Mr. Wiley had to say about him trying to focus things back on from the very smallest level and go back up. We've really lost a lot in this country. We've let the federal government kind of take over and for their own agenda, their own benefits, not the benefit of the citizens of each state and the American people. I'm really broken-hearted. I'm a veteran. I served in 3 different branches of the military, Marines, Navy, Army. I come from civil service and some other ones. But it's just a heartbreak to see what's been transpiring in recent years. Somebody here brought it up about it kind of evolving over decades, and it has. Slowly, we've been conditioned to accept more and accept more. It's pushing to see how much we tolerate. And I think now I'm seeing, and I'm hopeful for this, that I'm seeing a change. I'm seeing people say, hey, that's enough. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. In fact, this group that we belong to, ABAY, originally it was called American Bikers Against Totalitarian Enactments. And that's what we're seeing today. We're seeing a lot of that. More modern terms, American Bikers aiming towards education, which is a little less aggressive and all that. So we try to educate people, not just on the motorcycle aspects of it, but on the legislative part. Try to let them know the process, much like the legal process you have to go up against. The processes in themselves are very complicated and hard to understand sometimes. So we do our best to go ahead and try to educate people on the process, on the government, on the bills, how they're brought up and how they're passed, and what we can do to be part of that process as a group, as citizens. Government works for us. We don't work for the government. It's kind of changed now. It seems that everything we do is for the government. Except
I've been at seminars on that. Leadership. A lot of people were concerned when Obama got elected. But frankly, he was taking it back because politics is offensive. Obama's pushing it so far to
can't just stand idly by. That gives the power to these men that are doing evil. Just like you said, the good cop, bad cop. The good cop who sits there and he's kind of, well, doesn't say anything. You know, that's part of the problem. Anybody who doesn't stand up for themselves is part of the problem. The more people we can get to stand up for themselves, the more chance we have to turn this whole thing around. Iceland did it. I don't know if maybe you're familiar with the story of Iceland. Right. They basically, on a small scale, is more what we're doing with our nation today. And they got tired of being oppressed. They got tired of being the government, it's suffocating more and more. And the people finally said, this is crazy. And what they were able to do peacefully, without a single shot being fired, is they were able to go up and basically grab their legislators, roll them out, take the bankers, which the mega millionaires are trying to control not only their own government, but control the media and all the other stuff. Same things we're seeing here today. Our government is very well manipulated by people higher above them with the money that they were able to prove through their own judiciary system, through the few honest people they had in it, that these people are crooks. They're robbing us blind. They're stealing from us. They're making laws that are oppressing us, that are taking from us, that are really destroying the fabric of their country. So together, collectively, all the people of Iceland got together in a peaceful manner and just change their whole country. They're still going through some processes to fix it all. The first thing they did is they identified what the problem was and collectively got together and demanded change. And we as the people can do that very same thing. That collectively we get together like groups like this and we discuss things. We discuss the best way that we can go about changing things.
Well, and then on that note, that's law. But we consider ourselves legislators after the very 26 years that this week. Anyway, as well, we consider ourselves legislative players. We're true patriots. We're out there actively, whether we have an Obama or anybody. We're neither Republican or Democrat. That's not there. But we're actively, as legislative lawyers, we're bringing and informing you. If you go to any AA website around the country, it's been around almost 70 years. We're out there informing you about legislation that affects fighters, which is anything whether you're a fighter or not, to our patients, what's going to impact you. What we do is we believe in less government, not more government. We're not government us. We should be where the people are supposed to be the government. Outside of that, we're also watchdogs. Like I said, because if you see something come down the pipe, we need to message out to people whether they listen or not. That also is very important because throughout the years, when people are happy with what's going on, we're out there saying, hey, they're getting ready to enact this law. They're going through the channels. It's going to come up to legislature here soon. They're going to impact our freedoms with the law. So before you guys mainly today are talking about fighting stuff that's already impacted this legislature for a while. Well, it's more critical that you watch the stuff coming at you beforehand. There's some silly stuff. Matter of fact, we've got the teams here, Megan and Clayton King. She's a past president, he's a past VP of our local chapter of AA. There are young students come in and take over. My daughter, which is Megan, our daughter rather, she was watching the National Defense Authorization Act, and she was about 16, 17 years old, Megan. She's now 22. Now, why do not mention it about the history of this bill or paying attention to this bill is Marine Corps General wrote this bill. And it was a really cool bill. It was meant for terrorists, not people in the homeland. And it was rewritten, and by the time Obama came in and everything, he tried to pass it a couple years or a year and a half prior to that. Our Supreme Court justices ruled zero history, okay? It's enacted. They pay attention to what's going on now, but they don't watch it like we do, and like we're encouraging you guys to watch stuff before it comes to write your legislature. We actually can have our power, our source, and 7,000 strong in this state, other states that got together to radio and put the message out through phone calls. We called our legislators. We forced them along with other groups to get the Supreme justices to look at this bill, to police this bill that Obama wound up signing. There's many things that, for our Constitution, that the reason why it's so long we call it is for this man is still our president. The Patriot Act passed by Bush is also a very recent bill that was actually in the law. But people have said, what part belong to? Facts are facts, okay? They can now walk us out of society if you're deemed a threat to any legislator further than accidental defense authorization. Now, my daughter watched the bill, was saying, look more closely than anybody else who's I thought this bill. So we were coming out before all these people to Supreme Court justice. Obama overruled the Supreme Court justice. That's scary stuff. That is really scary stuff. So, that's what we do in ABA, American Brotherhood Against Torture, Military Enactment. This is the first acronym, and we still hold that acronym. I'm very proud of it for today. The second acronym, American Bikers Aim for Education, we adopted law because it's hard for money to the Highway Safety Transportation Board. We are, I wear a helmet, you wear a helmet, some days we may not, okay? ABA in Florida, we fought, and other states have fought for the freedom of choice helmet law, okay? Freedom of choice. So we may wear one, our son-in-law may choose not to wear one. It's not our government's job to right. In that, under 21 have to wear one. We put it really, it took us 12 years to get this law, this bill put through and passed. And so under 21 has to wear a helmet, and you have to get another something going on. Well, so there's some things that we push hard for, and there's some things we take along with that. But the main thing is, in that 12 year fight, we've got our So, I guess my message, my personal message to you as a patriot is, pay attention to what your legislators are saying. Don't be afraid to hurt them. Always use professionalism when you hurt them. It's okay to hurt. The other day, we joined efforts with Dane, who came out of countries from Cyprus. We came back to countries from Cyprus. A lot of freedoms are not had over there, and they do not have separation of church and state. They got from politicians of church and state. We come home only to find out about this Satan baseball here in Ocala, okay? And I feel really bad for OCD because you're going to have to work cut out for you. But I'll tell you what, if you're off to come up to me, put 2 inches in the ruler, we're going to have a problem, all right?
I'll be too surprised.
Not that you want to see my tractor. But we're fighting local city government because they're not our parents, okay? They're using morale. They're trying to deal with also bringing in church and state into the law. So it's a little past the fact, the law's been passed, now there's a lot of time and money to be spent in helping others. We're going to be going to the city and we're going to be saying, and matter of fact, I sent a strong, firm message to them. And we might have some bikers right down on the city because we're going to hold all 4 of those people that pass that accountable for passing that frivolous law.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing about keeping educated and informed. The best time to stop those kind of things is a lot of them process. Granted, many things on local level are hard to follow versus things on state or national level. They're much easier because they're more, general, do the impact. But that's the thing. You got to hold everybody that's in that realm accountable for their actions. We have every year we have an annual freedom rights rally that we actually ride all the motorcycles up. Now that's actually face-to-face time with our legislators, and it has to make an impression and see you understand that the person that they are, and it gives us a chance to interact with them and state that our concerns are about legislation they may be considering and deciding which way they're going to vote on it. We can do that in the local level. One of the things, like you said, that we try to do is help people out by letting them know how to approach legislators properly, with respect, because they deserve that, and that way you're more effective. If you go around and you rant and you rave and arm waving and all this stuff, it tends to automatically put up that thought. There are ways to be effective.
On the issue of precise method,
But already half a dozen bars, three-quarters decisions in the state have asked no authority to go to hospital.
Well, see, the sad thing is that's going to affect us
Let's say
economically.
Mississippi City, so that's going to come out as well. We do have our sovereignty. We do have our sovereignty. We know what was during today's meeting. A lot of people, one of the viewers I like to go out about is sovereignty. You know, we have to send sheriffs that are building around the nation that are going to protect our borders. I mean, when we come to a group like something like this, it's nice that we do, and we have to want to obey the municipality. We got to do that out for our police force here and there. How do we know that? But the bottom line is our state sovereignty, our local county sovereignty is so involved. And, you know, I'm waiting to talk to you about some things that are going to does anybody have any questions about microflights or other types of flights?
I really think that you passed the bill, know the town culture and how good that law is. I really think, I wish that some of us that at the time all get together, just put together a group that starts passing bills and laws. I mean, you can bill them to death. Some of them will go and some of them won't, but we need a lot of laws. Like I said, there's laws on the books. Protect the police, no laws other than the Constitution to protect us.
Right. Well, we don't push amending laws, but we are actually against having more laws that governs us more.
Real laws, not fancy laws. I mean, real laws that protect us from getting killed on the side of the road. I'm sick of reading it. I'm sick of seeing it. Too many innocent people, a lot of disabled people are being killed on the road.
That's where ADA comes in. Wonderful resources. That's the American Disability Act. I mean, I'm going on those 10 things already. Thank you for telling me what I'm supposed to do. In fact, this morning, we had a fight for real quick, and we'll take more of your time on it. This morning, I got contacts from people in that country. June, we had one of our brothers, who is actually a Vietnam veteran, who has injuries from his service. I'll try not to cry here. But the sheriff's office, his wife called me, right? He got a problem with his feelings. And what he was saying, so how much he had belonged to himself. We did. Anyway, so she was asking for help. Okay, some of us accused of some police are and law authorities. And granted, we know why law enforcement is there. They're to keep our kids. You know, you get lost, walk up a police officer, okay? In our days, well, I don't really, I think we shouldn't have public cheap branch though. It's that out of there. Anywho, this brother of ours, he was out riding his bike. His wife decided that, you know, he was going to get a mind to do that. She asked the law enforcement sheriff's officer to go find our brother. So when they started pursuit of our brother. They got him on 2.6 40, and well, he set up. Okay, there are confiscation laws of motorcycles in Florida. Actually, we want to keep the motorcycles in parallel for all motorists. That's where they stepped in. Okay, and we want to discriminate them. And we're not asking for them special favors, we're asking for same favors. So our brother finally decided to stop. Okay, however, there was a young officer with like 2 years of service, and I'm not saying that that's the reason here, but I'm saying statistically, you can see with some in the field that there's actually problems. Our brother wound up, he informed the police officers, and I understand so far it's a mistake, so I'll have to check. I understand he let them know that he did not lie in front of me, don't fly down, and because he had heard of it. And they decided to go and then face it. And one of them got embedded, and then the sheriff's officer was actually out. Okay? See it not better. The older gentleman, one of the best like there is though. And he also is disabled, and his personality is disabled. Both his staff, he was disabled. Okay? Now, the law enforcement And we're going to be monitoring that. I'm going to get involved with that and advocate for that. And they also compensate, even though it was less than from felonies down to a misdemeanor, we still were able to respect to keep the subject. So, and for us, it's a way of life. Some people believe work and life is in it. Now, because you have disabilities, doesn't mean you have that right. So,
yeah, the problem with Avery, I read up on those definitions, they were actually intended as a defensive weapon, but they can use by the police and sheriffs and whoever as an offensive weapon. They are not an offensive weapon, only for defense. Then a bullet is not, appropriate, absolutely. So, I think I would love to see Avery. I would just been, I would have rather than God put the meat or something. I'm going to tell you what, I paid for before mine, and it's done a lot of things. Anything that is used can be mentioned, but there are places where that can be very effective. Advice. I forget, I don't want to turn into a top master something like that. Any law enforcement officers are very dedicated to do what's all world. And of course, what we're discussing is first-hand knowledge and all this, which is primarily what our concern is. We don't want to discredit all those that are doing the job on the effective. And there are officers that have come to save their life. It has saved their life in some cases. There are many times we're trying to have somebody. It isn't some old, feeble veteran or old man. It's some drug-crazed lunatic that would not even cry.
Like the 18 they mentioned earlier, I tried to do 100 pounds, but I don't know, I've been very strong. I don't know the whole entire fact of it.
Yeah, questions over here. Questions
But yeah, that's basically what we're about. We want to fight laws before they're enacted, but we already have a legislation, unfair laws, especially in our case. We also voted one, but we're up to Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Well, we're going to get one more shirt away, last shirt we have, and we'll go to Rosette. Oh! I guess this table was here earlier, the side first.
Yeah.
But no, she won that because she was the first person to sign the rap. Go ahead. You can go to more to Copwatch.org. Like I said, we try to fund everything. We don't have no financial support for what we do. So right now it's just me and my friend Alex that is kind of like pushing financial stuff on this thing. So instead of having a bunch of shirts made that I would like to have done so I can sell them out the back of my car or send them to people, we got on this website where we put our design and made our t-shirts, and they print them as people order them. So we don't have to put a bunch of front money up to get a bunch of shirts. I would like to, I wish I could sell shirts all day long. I mean, there's people asking for shirts all day, stickers, but I thought I would have a sign shop helping with bunch of stickers, but they basically didn't feel what we were going to do today. So, but we have one more thing from Adrian's group that wanted to say some things.
Anybody that wants to donate to his campaign will gladly take anything you can afford. I mean, he doesn't get any kind of corporate funding whatsoever. So everything, that he gets is from us.
The part about rejecting the state legislature.
Yeah, I don't want to quote Adrian on any of that. I'm not really great at all that much stuff. But yeah, there is go ahead.
Adrian Wiley is sincere when he says that he rejects too much government. That's true. So he needs to gather a certain amount of money, and forget the amount of money he has to gather.
I'm sorry, 100, I think it was
$105,000
105 or 110.
in order to continue qualifying for governorship. When you gather X amount of money, the state will match those funds. If we can gather the money that Adrian needs in order to continue qualifying, he will publicly reject the offer of state matching funds.
Right.
He's sincere. He walks the walk. He doesn't just talk the talk. If you have any money to donate to the White campaign,
Anything greatly appreciated, guys. $5, $10, $20, whatever you can afford.
he will definitely reject publicly state matching funds. He needs it and he says it.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that's a big thing. And, you know, people that don't know Mr. Wiley, I don't know Mr. Wiley really well. I just know what I do know of. And he wasn't even allowed to go to an event because he didn't have enough money.
That's correct.
You know, all the other people that were candidates and were allowed to go because they have big lawyer funding, Morgan and others, right? Basically, our money was back in one guy. So, you know, as taxpayers, you know, went to a hospital, you paid for the campaign. But Adrian, you know, he wasn't allowed to go. I mean, and being from Oklahoma and being kid from the woods, you know, there's a lot of things I couldn't do because I didn't have money. You know, I didn't have the time. I didn't go to Boy Scouts. I didn't have money for that. So, you know, he's a real people, you know, the people man, you know. And people say, well, I don't want to vote or I don't want to do that. Well, heck, I mean, this whole two-party monopoly's got to be over. It hasn't worked in over 100 and some thousand, you know what I'm saying? It hasn't worked. So it hasn't worked. So let's keep voting for that. Let's keep voting for the Republican or the Democratic Party. Let's keep voting for that. It's pretty bad when people that are libertarians, I mean, I consider myself a libertarian, but I don't want the right party for the job. I want the right man for the job. I don't care if he was some weird, didn't even have a name. You know what I'm saying? It's about his morals and his beliefs. And what's crazy is, you know, these candidates stand up here and say, well, I believe in this, and I believe in that, and I believe in this. And you're like, man, that guy, I relate to him. Let's get him in office. And then as soon as he gets to office, well, professionally, I can't do this, and I can't do that. Why are you there? You know what I'm saying?
The two primary candidates for office have both flip-flopped on various issues depending on the circumstance. You know, they say one thing out of the side of their mouth, and they turn around and do exactly the opposite of what they promised us when they were trying to get our votes. Mr. Wiley won't do that. He says it, he means it, he will do it. If you do the same thing that you have always done, you're going to get the same thing.
No.
So insanity is doing also the same thing over and over and over again. A lot of people don't know this either. Behind this whole scene, trying to put this thing on, me being a guy of wanting to hear both sides of the story, and I'm not, I don't want anybody to be bullied upon or that. I reached out to Rick Scott and I said, hey, if you want a public live stream, you want a good forum to talk to people, the invitation's open for you to show up. They never even do that. So they never even respond back. So that just shows you right there. I mean, a guy that won't even come over here to Denny and talk to the people. I mean, these are the people who vote. These are the people that make this country do what it is. Or know what it is. I mean, not now, but this is the foundation. And dirt road guys, and guys that are in ditches digging and really try to support just their family. I mean, it's just like they were saying, it's not the government's business to tell us what we can and cannot do. Like I told Mary Sue Rich at the council meeting, they already tell us we can't drink raw milk. We have to vaccinate our kids. Well, they can't. I don't believe in vaccination. I believe in refusal. And because of that, I can't find a doctor to take my kids. I have to drive all the way, to a different town, a bigger city, to find a doctor that believes in all natural stuff. And that's wrong. That shouldn't disqualify you from a doctor. But also, too, I want to announce, this will be wrapping this whole thing up today. Sunday, August 10th, 2014, from 2 to 5, there will be a Constitution class. With anybody want to speak more on that?
National Liberty Alliance, Marion County chapter, will be given a constitutional class to start at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon right here. So 5, with a 12-hour course, and then the following Saturday, next weekend, it'll be 9 to 6. We'll finish up with those class on the Constitution. And that's presented by the National Liberty Alliance, which is supporting the common law grand jury movement in the United States. We now have 48 states, with every county in those 48 states reconstituted common law grand jury. What that means is, sooner or later, we the people are going to have the fourth branch of the government, which is the common law grand jury, to be able to hold elected officials, law enforcement, feet to the fire on their oath of office. We haven't had that in quite a few years. The last common law grand jury in the state of Florida, I believe, was 1946. Monday night, this coming Monday night at 6:30 in Old Town, Florida, Dixie County, they will be forming a common law grand jury. They've already, I think, registered 16 charges against the state attorney for the third district for jury tampering with the grand jury. And there's two judges that were painted in that. One of the judges appointed himself over the grand jury. Those of you that aren't familiar with the grand jury, nobody but the grand jury foreman and the people on the jury are to know anything about the charge. They can investigate anything at any time. This has been taken away from we the people. This was our safety net to keep our government accountable. They said we had the voters box. That comes around every 2, 4, or 6 years. You know how long it takes to get an elected official out of office, and how much damage can be done by a corrupt individual that sits outside the oath of office? Well, with the common law grand juries, that indictment can be brought down. He can cease his duties immediately as a public elected official if the charges are brought against him. Okay, and that's our team and the government that we have today. It's been blocked from us for an awful long time. Back when this country was formed, the original 13 states had what we call council of censure. They were elected positions, 2 from each county, borough, district, or community, city, and state. And they were paid positions to keep an eye on government officials and government workers. Today, we have a terrible abuse of the oath of office that upholds the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Florida. It's not being done. We have elected officials right here in Marion County who don't even have an oath of office on file. Read your Constitution. That's why we're presenting the constitutional class tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5, and then 9 to 6 the following Saturday to finish it up. It's about a 12-hour course. When you come out of it, you'll know your Constitution, and you'll know your power. And we, the people, will invoke the common law grand jury in every county in this country. Thank you.
I want to remind you all of something else that a lot of you all think are online. There's a group called Oathkeepers. If you want to really step up in your community, to your law enforcement, local law enforcement, and to those in the military, encourage them to become Oathkeepers. Because they put a lot of strong message out there on using their oath in the office of public office that they serve. You know, just by walking up sometimes and asking them, and if you start asking them if they're Oathkeepers, you can start that line of communication with them to remind them, you know, in a friendly manner that, you know, well, I work in a public job and I have to say, well, so do they, but in a friendly way, to ask them, encourage them to become Oathkeepers.
Yeah, go ahead. Like this? Well, because this is a Know Your Rights Summit, anybody's more happy to do any kind of discussion like this on themselves. I will look into it. I know that we were going to try to do it once a year, try to get more people involved. And then next year we're going to try to do something in Tampa or Orlando, have a bigger platform and more better, not anything better, but more paid speakers that come in and that knows a little more, has a little more experience in like dealing with police and stuff like that. You know, guys like Pete and other guys at Copwatch and try to get their experience in their battles with police and local law enforcement and set their boundaries. But like I said, if you stay updated on the Facebook page, Know Your Rights Summit Facebook page, we can, like I said, I'll talk to Al, see what we can do about putting on something, maybe every other month or every 3 months, or maybe we can all get together with common law guys, maybe do a Know Your Rights thing every couple of months or something, you know, local event. Anybody else have any questions for Florida Copwatch or anything?
We do have brochures up there on the table for any of you that like to read about the common law grand jury and how to sign up for a National Liberty Line. It's your chief, hold your government accountable. Dollar. Grand jury, common law grand jury belongs to we would be. It's an individual county effort. County chooses not to do it, that's fine. There are people that want our government held accountable to the overall. So that's just tired of all things.
Where in town is saying that they
Yeah, that's what they're doing. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate everybody, supporting your local academics. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We have to get it's 358. And you get yeah. All right, no problem. Oh man, it's fun, right? I mean, okay, I got a flyer for you. What it is yeah, only thing they can't do is that's what you might think you know, it's yeah.
I will stay on this mountain, I will raise like a rainbow, with the burning desire to consume my way, to know where all the ages.
That's one of the reasons why
The
I'm sorry? Oh, about April?
I hear you. I'm just saying well, nobody wants Oh, okay. I know. Oh, okay.
After hours, when the person won't do it.
He's just a little boy, you know, a little bit. But anyhow, so he proceeds to, I said, thank you. Right. I'm just in an office, eating my phone.
Please tell me you must see
He went along. So anyhow, so he didn't just like strike the button.
Gosh, I wish I could remember the name of that gentleman. He was a former police officer. What's his name? He changed it.
Well, the guy continued to, I said, I don't know if that means, because you didn't, I'm sitting there trying to, you know, so he rails me that, quarter, but he didn't stop there, where the crumble on the floor.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you. No, I appreciate it. No problem.
And then on the ground,
So my cousin having another having a baby. Well, we're doing a home birth for the first dinner. All natural with his wife. Yeah, more property. that's what I like saying. It's not in your head, but I want to do a water burn, but whatever happens, sometimes, yeah, and I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. Yeah, I mean, so they, but the whole experience from the guy side, you're there doing things, support, say you're the number one support person. Right. So they be involved more. Yeah. You just sit there watching or holding the eye. It ain't just, you know that. But it's legit. So look how works here. I tell people that place is yeah, they yeah, look at there's some like last weekend, and at that time they had 7 babies in the last, or 5 babies in the last 7 days.
Wish I could remember his name.
I can so I mean, and the thing is they have a burden like an uncertain like an hour like yeah. And they'll even have and then they'll go with you. Like they don't just drop you. You don't say, okay, you're out of now. They will go with me and stay with me and rest power. And when you have that, I'm driving to my mom's house. Say it's on bell on big last minute. But Sam's can do a lot better than you have to, but there they don't even consider they don't even consider the midwife. Basically, they tell them to go through the window. And so you go down through the window and then can treat it as a peer. And you can have so, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I don't do that. Well, here's the reason why I get around you said it back don't worry about it. Yeah.
Well, I did at that time. I did all those fire tackle. And my truck first year that they did the mission.
It's just it's a intimidation. We turn this live truck down.
Would not pass emissions. 6-month-old truck. So I said, you know what?